Good evening, I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome to Hangar Flying. Last time we had a young lady on our program, Jen Armstrong, and we talked a little bit about some of her business, which is unmanned aircraft. We also talked about her background, having graduated from the Air Force Academy and done a lot of things. One of the areas that we didn't really talk too much about was her career now as an Alaska Air Guard C-130 pilot. Welcome back, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
So, talk a little bit about flying the C-130 in Alaska, well, and around the world.
I love it. I consider it one of the last big airplanes, at least for the military. You get to hand fly all the time, and you can strategically provide transport all over the world, long haul missions, and then you can also perform the tactical low-level airdrop missions as well. So it's kind of a pilot's airplane.
And I've always said that being in the Guard in Alaska's got to be special too, huh?
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I think we're all pretty excited about living here and getting outdoors and enjoying the mountains, and we get to do that from the air. So it's the best of both worlds. A couple of specific questions I want to ask you related to safety. One of them is, you guys obviously take off and fly around the bowl a lot. You go to Malamute. You're in the air. Do you have any thoughts that you would share with the general aviation pilots out there on maybe how we could collectively do that safer? Sure, and you're absolutely right. Our training area, we're trying to fit in as much as we can into a 2-hour sortie, involves us taking off of Elmendorf, flying a low level, and when I say low level, I mean C-130s and C-17s are typically between 300 and 500 feet AGL, helicopters even lower, and so we'll be anywhere, we call it the Susitna Valley, and so anywhere from Anchorage to Mount Sioux, up to Talkeetna, and then into the drop zone area as well. So that's where you can find us operating. It could be a single C-130, it could be a formation, 4 or 6 C-130s at one time operating at that level. So I guess my advice to the community would be that, hey, this is where we are. Please turn your transponders on. That's how we see you. Even if you're not talking to ATC, we have TCAS, we have skin paint. If you have a transponder, it gives us amazing SA as far as if you're out in that area flying, or even really anywhere in the state of Alaska. We flew up over by Lake George just the other day, and someone had their transponder on, and so we were able to see them that we might not have otherwise been able to see the general aviation plane flying along there. And then be up CTAF frequency. We're always up on there announcing our position reports and just announcing big geographical locations where we're flying, and hopefully some people are listening out there.
Good words, and I hope people are listening. And I would add to that, to emphasize what you said. If you are flying along feet wet and you are outside the restricted area, you're not out of danger. And if you're not listening to approach control, you're not going to hear about the 130s or C-17s that are coming in perfectly legal to Malamute at jump altitude. So the opportunities are there. So thanks for that advice. Along a similar line, what one thing would you suggest that we could do to make flying safer in Alaska?
There's a lot of ways you can make flying safer. One thing that we do pretty well, I think, is come up with risk mitigation plans in the way of operational risk analysis or crew coordination items, meaning, and I think this would go across both lines of military and general aviation flying, is, we brief at almost nauseum, hey, this is the plan, this is what I expect from you, here's our limitations for today, here's my personal limitations, here's our crew limitations, and then we hold each other accountable for that plan and those limitations. So essentially, I guess big picture would be ask yourself what if in the general aviation world, what if something bad happens, or what if the weather isn't as I predicted or forecasted? Come up with ways that you're going to mitigate that risk, and then also communicate that plan to whoever you're flying with, or maybe someone at home,
communicate that risk analysis plan to mitigate the risk, and then hold yourself accountable. Communicating that plan allows people to say, hey, Billy Bob, I thought you said we were going to turn around if the weather was such and such, or hey, you said we were going to fly no later than this time of day. You know, at least addressing the limitations that you set for yourself. So if we apply that across the board of our activities, whether it's a military mission or if it's a, hey, I want to go fly out to my cabin today or this week, I think if we implement those simple, just very simple things into our planning and execution, then we'd all be a little bit safer and
Great.
always come back.
Thank you for those words. Hey, one last quick question. Someone wants to join the Guard. Who do they call?
We have some very good recruiters out there, and you can just Google Alaska Air National Guard recruiters, and I'm sure you'd be able to quickly get someone to answer any of your questions. You know, the Alaska Air National Guard is one of the largest operations groups in the inventory. We have a lot of missions out there, a lot of airplanes. We have a lot of people doing some really good things, and I'm sure they'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
Great. Jen, thanks for being on the program. Thanks for your service. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, fly safe.